here, trunks are okay here. Now guys, we went over the rules in the dressing room. I want you to keep the fight clean at all times. I want you to protect yourself at all times. And what I say, you must obey. Touch him up.
Mayweather's uncle and trainer Roger was in no hurry to leave the ring, apparently wanting to make a last-minute point to officials and to referee Kenny Bayless that he thinks De La Hoya's cup protector is too high above his waistband. Round one begins, and the first major question of the fight, how well and Mayweather with a right hand across the top, first significant landed blow of the fight. Mayweather often leads with left hooks or straight right hands, does not lead with a pure boxer to do. Right hand across the top for De La Hoya excites the crowd, and immediately De La Hoya begins hammering away with left hooks to the bottom. No, maybe the most significant thing so far was the spirited effort that De La Hoya made to get at Mayweather's ribcage. Oscar has never been a particularly prolific body puncher. He acknowledges that he needs to do more body punching tonight. The one time Floyd Mayweather was in danger of losing a fight.
And just a forward Floyd to the rope, but he didn't expect it so difficult to get in to do that. And right there, Floyd angled his body to the fact that he neutralized those left hook attempts by Oscar.
But he isn't throwing a jab either.
Numbers in round one were by no means definitive. De La Hoya 3 out of 26.
Yeah,
Mayweather 7 out of 35. And that's a Mayweather-type round, both in terms of the speed and pace and the number of punches landed.
The first jab that Oscar really threw snapped his head back.
Good left hook inside by De La Hoya. And for a moment there, they exchanged punches. That's what Oscar De La Hoya needs. Now it's landing both a left hook inside and a right hand across the top against Floyd Mayweather. There's another straight right hand landing for De La Hoya. And a jab and a right hand again. And the crowd goes nuts as De La Hoya begins to take over offensively, fighting the bigger man fight.
Good to the crowd, but they didn't land effectively.
They landed enough to make the point that he's landing punches while Floyd isn't throwing.
Well, he's winning this round, I'll tell you that much. If he continues doing what he's doing, he'll win this round.
Straight right hand by Mayweather. De La Hoya flurries before Floyd moves away. Now Mayweather goes to his own jab.
You have to watch Floyd to start jabbing, and then all of a sudden he'll change the jab into a leaping left hook.
De La Hoya. Oscar reaching, having trouble finding Mayweather. There'll be a lot of that.
And Oscar's doing a very good job of neutralizing Mayweather's left hook too.
Just to us, which was provided to him by De La Hoya. Although sitting in the seat provided by Oscar, he was non-committal as to who he was rooting for in the fight, saying that he had extremely mixed feelings that it was even taking place. You saw the CompuBox numbers, which slightly favored De La Hoya in the second round with his right arm. Now the left hook lands upstairs. And he lands a right cross across the top. And for the first time in the fight, Mayweather looks genuinely on the defensive.
Oscar's fighting a perfect fight right now. He's being aggressive, not trying to think too much, because if he thinks, he's not going to beat Floyd thinking. It is very effective.
Sledgehammer punch.
Effective and stop thinking too much, because when he thinks too much, he's playing right into Mayweather's hand. When he lets the punches go, he does very well.
Yep, you saw what happens when Oscar waits and gives Mayweather time. Mayweather landed the left hook lead, stepped to the side, then landed a straight right hand lead. It would appear that what De La Hoya needs to do is to attack and flurry. Straight right hand lead for Mayweather. Tremendously effective with that punch. And instantly he moves away to the side. Left hook lead, moves away to the side. This is vintage Mayweather. This is why De La Hoya needs to find a way to plant him against the ropes.
Mayweather said he wanted to go toe-to-toe. What he really wants is to go hand-to-hand.
Which will impress the judges more. And incidentally, these first 3 rounds, not unlike the first 3 rounds of Mayweather-Judah, when Zab Judah was able to threaten Floyd and make him uncomfortable from time to time, but eventually Mayweather settled into a groove and won the fight. Harold, how'd you score the first 3?
Okay, Jim, 2 rounds to 1, 29-28, Floyd Mayweather Jr. In rounds 1 and 3, Jim, I just thought he outpunched him with that left
round fights.
It's always been a concern that I had with him. In this case here, also, he's fighting flat-footed. But he's not that effective. When Oscar gets on his toes, he punches better in this fight. And in recent years, he hasn't used it that much.
He worked in training camp on being more relaxed and less intense. But in the ring tonight, it's the same
fist. And that has helped the tower.
There are the body shots. And there is a sustained attack to the body like nothing you've seen in De La Hoya's career. So an adjustment finally shows up, something he will have to do differently, and he seems concertedly aware of it in that moment. And because he... Before.
What you hear from Roger Mayweather, the trainer in the corner, is they are really counting on De La Hoya tiring in the last third of the fight. Twice now we've heard Roger Mayweather say he's going to get tired, he's going to get tired, you'll get him later in the fight.
Good quick left hook inside by Mayweather and a big right hand upstairs by Floyd within the time frame of 12 rounds. And again, De La Hoya tries to set something up with the body and then go upstairs.
You know, what Oscar's doing is the best thing
is happening, and there, it's a very close fight. We don't really know yet who's going to get tired.
One thing I would say is that Oscar De La Hoya should throw his jab more, but counters of Floyd Mayweather. He's so quick and slinky with his right hand. Every time De La Hoya gets Mayweather near the ropes, you can feel the urgency as Oscar tries to suddenly take advantage of the opportunity. Hand across the top from Floyd Mayweather. He uses that punch increasingly down the stretch of those fights in which he's comfortable and confident. De La Hoya briefly landed a right cross across the top.
I like that Mayweather is standing right in with De La Hoya here. This is toe-to-toe.
And now the hand speed difference shows up in the center, puts De La Hoya on the defensive as soon as they're in the middle of the ring. And Mayweather is trying to knock Oscar out with a right hand. CompuBox numbers begin to reflect Mayweather's edge. In the last 2 rounds, he has a 34-20 superiority over De La Hoya in power shots landed. The faster hands of Floyd Mayweather are becoming more and more a factor in the fight. This is round 6 of a scheduled 12. To try to stop speed with the jab, as Vernon Forrest did to Shane Mosley, that's not working as well. So once again, De La Hoya goes back to work chopping wood, trying to get at Mayweather's ribcage the way Jose Luis Castillo did back in the 135. And again, De La Hoya tries to set something up with the body before changing upstairs. Quick right hand. 2 punches blocked by De La Hoya. Good round for Oscar here.
Good round for Oscar.
His best round since early in the fight. Now there's a quick left hook that De La Hoya short with the right hand, but gets in a left. And once again, Oscar answers fire with fire. So with 35 seconds to go in this round, De La Hoya just stands there. Suddenly the round begins to even up. So De La Hoya pressures him against the ropes. Quick left hook lead by Mayweather. Problem for De La Hoya.
But Oscar's had great defense this round himself. He's the guy that's been catching Mayweather's punches round.
And again, they're near the ropes. And again, Oscar De La Hoya. You saw the CompuBox numbers, which show the percentage edge for Mayweather. He's landing more punches and landing a very high percentage of his power shots, 56%. That's because of the fast hands. But De La Hoya keeps on trying. Harold, how do you have it through 6?
Okay, Jim. Floyd Mayweather throws the first punch. He gets low first. He pops Oscar De La Hoya with a left or a right, and Oscar can't get back up. This time, Oscar attacked him. When Oscar does that, like he did in round 6, he wins the rounds. But basically, it's been Mayweather getting off first, landing more clean shots.
And just to show you that Oscar heard Freddie Roach.
And he's putting every effort, doing everything properly. And if he can hold up stamina-wise, he's got a good chance of winning it going down the stretch.
Might win the fight. I mean, it's hard to say. It might be the last thing he does, whether he wins or loses, at least in a prize fight ring. Offense in the first minute of this round. When he's not throwing his jab, he gives Mayweather the chance to measure and wait and figure out when he wants to land his lead left hook or right hand. When he is throwing the jab, Mayweather backs up and doesn't.
Will we get the drama we were hoping for in the second half of this fight?
Mayweather lands 2 right-hand shots over the top. Well, we're into the second half. Again, big left hook upstairs by Mayweather. Now De La Hoya feels the need to rally and goes back to throwing the jab. You can't make him throw 60, 70 punches around. He fights in staccato bursts. He likes it that way. De La Hoya trying to pressure.
Well, if Floyd doesn't punch back, Oscar's going to win this round. The corner has told him that he's going to have to step it up a little bit. This is the last half. Oscar does seem to be a little fatigued, but he's still working. He's still throwing punches, and he's pushing the fight. Floyd is very accurate, as Jim said, but not active enough. And the fight is getting closer and closer, and actually in my mind, I see Oscar pulling ahead.
In round 7, if De La Hoya won the round, he did it for a simple reason. He threw 38 jabs. Bernard Hopkins stood up from his seat near De La Hoya's corner and screamed, jab. Hopkins, of course, one of De La Hoya's business partners in Golden Boy, along with Shane Mosley, who sparred with him. Another De La Hoya flurry, and the crowd rises again. Once again, Oscar being more active, setting up the assault with the jab, putting Mayweather on the defensive, Mayweather countering back accurately.
That's been his most effective punch tonight. Not his left hook, not his...
He's picking his shots again.
No, but De La Hoya is picking them off.
Blocking punches.
Because they're one shot at a time.
Well, that's the way Floyd fights, one shot at a time.
Well,
combinations are relative.
That Oscar is
having a problem with hitting Oscar with anything really clearly in the finish.
Mayweather looking for one more big counter shot. Oscar looking for one definitive rally down the stretch of the round. They both got in a clean.
the perception is this is an even fight, close to it. Now the tension builds. Now perhaps the drama will build.
Well, and you wonder if Mayweather recognizes the danger of throwing 35 punches in a round where the opponent throws 68. I mean, Manny, your point is quite well taken. It doesn't much matter.
Floyd is having a problem of hitting Oscar now, so he's throwing punches, but he has not found a way to penetrate.
I'll tell you what, the body punches have taken their toll. Maybe he didn't land them at a high rate, but Mayweather is defensive when Oscar goes to the body.
Floyd's rhythm is taking his punches away from him.
Big right hand over the top by Mayweather, but one punch at a time.
And Oscar sees it. He's half deflecting those shots. He blocked that punch.
With left hook, but partially blocked, as Manny pointed out.
Tell me something, Emmanuel. How does a fighter get to be considered a great fighter if he throws basically one punch at a time? Although this is maybe one of the best flurries he's had.
It's difficult to be the greatest. I've never considered him great. He's considered a pound for pound, but the Ray Leonards and all of that stuff, comparing him and Ray Robinson, no. He's a good fighter.
Look, he's won all of his fights, and he's won, you know, obviously from a competitive standpoint, that's hard to argue with.
Yeah,
but this sport is also about theater.
It's about theater and the caliber guys that he fought to some degree.
Well,
but he's a very talented fighter.
Another De La Hoya rally against the rope, throwing and throwing.
It's
Mayweather grinning as it.
And Floyd cannot hit Oscar. Oscar's defense is pretty good.
Hit him that time. Incidentally, CompuBox somewhat disagrees with us about accuracy, Manny. They had Floyd landing 20 of 35 in the last round. That's high accuracy.
This is a good moment here, and for Mayweather
To cut off. Oscar's still very aggressive.
I know
Oscar's very aggressive.
I know Oscar De La Hoya, and he ain't no Zab Judah.
Thank you.
Harold Letterman, how do you have it to this point?
Look at him, 87-84, 6 rounds to 3, Floyd Mayweather Jr. Jim, in that 9th round, I mean, and he never throws another flurry the entire round. I don't understand it. He looks at him, he looks at him, he looks at him, and in the meantime, Floyd's popping him with clean, effective quad punches. 6-3, Mayweather.
I have it 5-4 for Mayweather.
Mayweather once again, more accurate, sharper puncher through this point in the 10th round. Oscar looking for one of those chances. Quick right hand counters of Floyd Mayweather.
Now he's playing in the Floyd's game, playing mind games.
Mayweather more elusive now, making it harder for Oscar to find those. Frustrating round for De La Hoya. 10 rounds finished, 2 rounds to go. Only 7 out of 62 in that round, his lowest number of connected punches since the first round. Mayweather 20 out of 44. That was the most one-sided round in the fight so far. And perhaps a harbinger, but it was Vargas who was tiring that night.
Yeah, and Vargas, but Floyd is a different fighter here.
Big time. Right hand pot shots for Mayweather. De La Hoya not jabbing, leaving himself open for Mayweather's opportunities. De La Hoya must jab and put Mayweather on the defensive session for Mayweather, because if De La Hoya doesn't throw, he has no chance. Right hand lead that time by De La Hoya. Mayweather skipping away along the ropes. Hammers Oscar with a right hand in the center of the ring. Hits him again. Hand speed difference more and more apparent.
Most effective punch he's had tonight.
Good body shot by De La Hoya.
Lots of punches, but nothing effective. Then between the gloves, he's keeping Oscar totally confused right now. I guess he's abandoned landing that left hook, which Oscar seems to block every time he throws. So he's now concentrating on him, Oscar, with right hands.
Hard right hand by De La Hoya. His most effective punch in 3 rounds. Crowd tries to root Oscar into position to take advantage. Then did Oscar De La Hoya. The pattern throughout the fight had been the opposite. Now De La Hoya knows he must go for the knockout in the 12th round. He landed a big right hand toward the end of the 11th. It probably wasn't enough to put Mayweather in any jeopardy.
Look out, look out!
The only chance for De La Hoya at this point, it would appear, would be to get another one of those big rallies against the ropes and somehow land a left hook. And we mentioned that a great defensive fighter like Mayweather could largely take away the money weapon like the left hook. De La Hoya hasn't landed one of those big, super clean left hooks upstairs all night long.
And neither have Floyd. There's his body and everything else, and that may impress the judges.
Just much faster hands. Much more command in the closing round.
This is an argument with fists, and the younger man appears to be winning the argument.
But fighting Floyd Mayweather is a dose of cold reality. This flurry will warm the hearts of De La Hoya's